Rod Drury, CEO of Xero, excited to have you here.
Hey Rob.
I have just a few questions for you regarding the whole cloud computing, cloud accounting space in relation to small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses and their accounting firms they work with. So number one,
cool.
Give us an update on the whole cloud computing / accounting space. What's going on?
Yeah, so the reason cloud computing is so important for small business is it's a fundamental shift in the cost of getting technology to small business. So we're in the third generation of technology for small business. The first one was DOS and PCs first coming in. That was sort of the 70s, early 80s. Through the 90s, everything was happening in the Windows platform. Still similar to DOS, but the interface was a whole lot easier. What's changed now is rather than having data sitting on a whole bunch of PCs and a slow sales cycle to update all of that, we're getting all of that data into a properly managed cloud environment, which is shared infrastructure, which means that now you're seeing companies like us investing in the space because we can now talk to all small businesses. The interesting thing though is that if you look at what's happening on the web, we've seen some great innovation in the consumer space, so the Facebooks and all those type of applications, but consumers don't like paying for anything. Small businesses, on the other hand, who are also consumers, with your small business hat on, you will pay for stuff. And what we've seen is that accounting for small business is the killer app. All small businesses have bank accounts, the smart ones have business advisors, and they all have a relationship with a tax man. So that pool of data really is that killer application that gets small businesses into the cloud, and then we see they start adding a whole lot of other things like CRM, timed recording, all sorts of other applications.
Okay, so right now you're in the cloud accounting space. Out of all the businesses in the marketplaces that you operate in, what percentage approximately have an internet-based accounting system, either Xero or other ones that may be competitors to yours?
So what the sort of numbers we see, everything's moving so quickly. So we got 50,000 customers over our first 5 years and a second 50,000 in the last 10 months. So in this space, where accounting's different to other web applications is it's a massive investment. It's a non-trivial application. It requires tens of millions of dollars and what we've proven 5 to 6 years to actually build. So what we're seeing is we're in the very early stages of it. While we've been sort of building the bridge, and trying to run across it at the same time, we've been building up this client base, but we've also been building this huge platform. So I think we're kind of at the end of the beginning of cloud computing. We're now starting to see new vendors that have entered the scene who have done that $30 to $40 million, that 5-year investment in building the core engine. So now you can say that traditional accounting features are available in the cloud and the products are generally quite good. What happens next is we really start to change the game because we've got these businesses all starting to be connected to each other.
Okay, so because as we go to publish, we've got about 100,000 Xero customers, thereabouts, I believe, and predominantly Australia and New Zealand. So what's that between the two countries? About 2.5 million potential customers?
Yeah.
Okay, so very much that is the starting mark. Where do you think it's going to go on penetration next 5 years? Whether they buy a Xero product or someone else's, what do you think that population will be of cloud accounting systems in the business community?
Yeah, well, we think everything moves to the cloud. So we're seeing half of our customers coming from no software and we're the first software they've used. But actually the biggest bit of software that small businesses use for accounting is Excel.
Yeah.
And so we get half of our customers are new. So I think with the design approach to cloud, and it's usually pretty easy, the products are pretty well designed, the barriers to entry are much lower. So we're opening up a whole new market. But I think the economics are so compelling. I think up till now, though, you've sort of said that's desktop software, that's cloud software, if you're in the early adopters, if you're on a Mac, if you're traveling all the time, then you move to the cloud. What happens now that the kind of core products are done, and we see all the new features coming out, like actually sending invoices between businesses, live bank feeds, so your transactions are all there, those now just become so compelling. And these products are really cheap. They're for the value that you get out of them, and they're being updated every month. We're just seeing that they're becoming more and more compelling. So certainly in that 5-year view, we would think the majority of businesses would do their accounting in the cloud.
Okay, so that seems to be consistent with most commentators are saying, this is the way it's going. Buckle up, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what does that mean, first of all, relationship between business, if next 5 to 10 years, they're all on a cloud accounting system, or the vast majority of. What does it mean with the relationship between business and accountant when it comes to the specific current 70 or 80% of their income, which is compliance-based revenue? What's going to happen in that space with the changes with cloud accounting?
Yeah, so we see this really, really clearly because it's played out in the last 5 years. So what we saw is under the old model, we had disconnected software. There was this $500 friction for a small business to burn a copy of the disk, send it to their accountant. 2 or 3 days later, they'd load it up, they'd make some changes. In the meantime, the business has sent out invoices, so the data's out of sync, and then so the changes never ever go back. And they'll file a GST return and send a bill for $500 with no value added. And effectively what that did is that trained small businesses not to use their accountants as business advisors. So the technology has sort of forced accountants to be at the sort of compliance end of the spectrum. What we've seen is you get everything into the cloud where the data doesn't move, so bank feeds coming in, your general ledger, and then the small businesses logging in, the accountants logging in, that $500 friction goes. So what that means is, first of all, there's a huge productivity gain in doing compliance because there's not data being fired around, and the trick for the practices is how to capture that efficiency themselves because they're providing quite a lot of value. But then every interaction with the customer, which can now be sort of weekly or monthly, provides a consulting upsell opportunity as well. So
I totally agree with you on that. What percentage do you think, if you look at preparing a set of accounts now under compliance, vis-a-vis in the future, if it was through a cloud type system, what percentage of efficiencies do you think will be gained by accountant working with their client with cloud accounting?
Yeah, so if the software is designed really well, then the compliance is a byproduct, just doing the things that you do every day. So I mean, if you take a GST return, as long as you're coding things correctly and there's good communication between the accountant and the business, so they've got their processes right, then a lot of the compliance just falls out. And what's happening on the government side is they're seeing this efficiency that's coming from cloud vendors. So we expect that government departments are putting more web services in, so that if there's a statistics report or something like that, it's just a byproduct. The data's already there. So I think it's very clear that compliance will absolutely. It's still things that have to be done, but as the software gets better, you won't be able to charge a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
But the upside opportunity of being that wingman, that trusted advisor that can drive businesses forward. I mean, we're really clear about this. Our goal is small businesses are the biggest contributor to GDP. If we can materially move the needle at scale, that's better schools and hospitals. And you do that by dating up small business owners with accountants and bookkeepers and other advisors. Because with that person alongside you, you're going to do more with your existing cash flow, you're more likely to hire a new person, you're more likely to get a loan to expand, you're more likely to export. So that's the magic of cloud software. The accountant and the small business owner can really work together. The challenge is that the accountants have to actually move to monthly bundling, and they have to ask for the business, they have to do that consulting. And what we're seeing is lots of firms starting to do that. In fact, there's a whole segment of new firms just doing that, starting business to do that. And now we're kind of seeing those mid-sized organisations starting to put business development people on, to have some people that crunch the numbers, but other people that are out there actually talking about business issues.
So what you're saying is the next 5 years or shorter or longer, whatever it is, the standard looking traditional accounting firm with compliance is going to radically change. It's going to radically change where they're going to have a more commoditized, if I've got this right, a more commoditized type service offering, which means they won't be able to get the margins they currently charge for that, which means they've got capacity, and if they're smart about it, they'll resell that capacity on more value-added services. Is that what you're saying?
But I don't think there's any margin being lost. What's happened is there's a huge amount of efficiency, but the value is still there. So the accountant, if they're clever about it, can capture the white space. So we see that with bundling. We get so many accountants that come up and say, oh, look, I used to have this customer and we'd charge them $1,500 for their final accounts. We'd put the invoice in with their reports and send it to them. They wouldn't even negotiate payment of the fee until the shoebox arrives 8 months later for the next year. Two, let's actually put them on a $299 a month plan where you get your GST reports done, you get a monthly management report, 2 hours of tax advice and your final accounts, and then they're charging $299 a month. So much better cash flow, and the client's actually happy because they feel like they actually have a person alongside them. If you talk to small business owners about accountants, they tell us they actually want their accountant to help them drive the business forward. Yeah. They will spend money to make money.
So what this gives is the real capacity to the accountant to do that.
Yeah.
Gives them efficiency gains and capacity to really help their clients. And if they're smart about that, they would sell that new capacity on value-based fees and pick up another margin again.
Yeah, so and again, that's consistent with the end of the beginning. The first row of benefits are capturing the efficiency because the tools are starting to get good, and then moving that into a monthly relationship. And then the next thing is to say, actually, we're going to have some targets. We're going to take this base of customers and we're going to grow their fees by providing value to them. And it was interesting at our Melbourne XeroCon conference last year, 120 accountants, this year 400. And at our Gold Partner Lunch, so these are the accountants at the very pointy end who have lots of Xero customers, we had a 2-hour lunch. 60% of that time was talking about the applications that connect to Xero. So they're starting to see now the next wave is, okay, we've got the general ledger sorted, that's just our commodity now, we have this monthly relationship working, how do I add more value? Well, now there's all these sort of neat bits of software, whether it be stock management or some complex business processes that you already have the confidence they connect to Xero, and they can drive a whole lot of process efficiency through their clients. So it just blew us away. We have accountants in their mid-50s and older excited about applications. It's pretty neat.
It's pretty cool. So let's say an accounting firm watching this video doesn't have any Xero customers, doesn't have any customers or clients on cloud accounting at all. The waves of change are coming. It's like a tidal wave, and they can choose to get in the way or surf it. What do you think they should do? Because this, what you're talking about, is all about the accountants remaining relevant, adding more value to their clients, which is just beautiful. What should an accounting firm do?
So one of the easy things to do is jump onto our website, look at your region, and seeing who else is in your region. You'll find the top partners have started to bundle services. I think that's the first thing to do, and really think about that. And actually, it's a change management process of getting your staff thinking in a way that we're going to get to these monthly bundles, and we're actually going to ask for the deals. And that's a nice little coaching thing, and there's a huge amount of satisfaction when they move it. And then I think the culture starts to change around trying to create value. But the other thing is you have such an opportunity now. Like we just had a blog up in the last week about one of our accounting partners that just did a few weeks travelling through Europe. So they were using cloud technology to get some personal freedom. So starting to experiment with those things. Take a holiday, but take your iPad with you, and seeing if you can keep going, because that's the benefit. There's not just you will make your practice better. I think that's been shown without doubt. But actually, you capture a whole lot of lifestyle around as well. Thinking about everyone's sort of short of staff, but you've got these great mums returning to the workforce who, probably would love to work between 10 and 2, and then they'll put the kids to bed and they'll log in after tea while the kids are asleep, which is when business owners are actually doing the books, because they're busy during the day actually working. So we're seeing these massive kind of social changes that are happening as well, and it can only be good.
So is this going to happen in the accounting firm's client base, whether they promote it or not?
Well, it's so compelling for small businesses. They are doing it.
Yeah. And
doing accounting software is really hard. Everyone's got something else that they'd rather do than change their accounting software. Yet we're seeing this massive growth in numbers. So what's happening is businesses talk to each other all the time about what they use, and the difference of having an online bank rec about your advisor being logged on at the same time is so fundamentally different from having the software locked up on the PC in the factory that people talk. So I think if you're not with it, there'll be an accountant in your region that is already switched on and is just grabbing customers.
Yeah.
It's with 100,000 customers, it's beyond proof that it's working. and what an exciting opportunity. The industry's changing, and the benefits in terms of more profit, more time at the beach, all of those come with cloud.
Pretty compelling.
Yeah.
Rod, thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob.
Looking forward to the next 100, 200, 300, 400,000 customers.
As am I.
I'm sure you are, and I'm sure your shareholders as well. All the best. Thank you.